Do Derby County need to go out and get another right back? Now, obviously, across the course of this summer transfer window, Derby County have put feelers out for a range of different right backs, including the likes of Cody Drammer, Max Johnston, Paul Valentin, and the latest is Alfie Gilchrist. Now, obviously, in this regard, Derby County did then go on to bring in Dion Sanderson on loan from Birmingham City. But as we all know, if you were aware of the game on Saturday, that did not necessarily go to plan, and Dion Sanderson was part of the reason why Derby County conceded 2 goals within stoppage time on Saturday afternoon. Now for me, I think it's really important that we take a look into Alfie Gilchrist and why Derby County need to try and get this deal done over the course of the next couple of weeks, because I believe this could be one which could take Derby to the next level. Now obviously, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. I'll be joining you live on Tuesday evening, looking through Derby County versus West Brom with a live watch along like we did on Saturday versus Stoke. But should we get into this video talking all about right back and Gilchrist? Now obviously, Alfie Gilchrist is a very highly rated player within his position and within his sort of year age group and cohort, and I think it's very interesting to see that Derby County sort of went and got Sanderson instead of trying to get a deal done with Chelsea or even with Sturm Graz for Max Johnston. And it does appear as if Derby County have pulled out of that deal with Max Johnston based on the latest reports. Now, for me, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to come on here and say that Alfie Gilchrist is going to sort of turn Derby from Championship mid-table to Championship promotion, but I do believe that he could have a huge impact, not just this year, but also going forward at the club, because you look at a player like Gilchrist, who's obviously been through the system at Chelsea, spent a really good year on loan last year at Sheffield United, and is now available for just the small fee of £1.5 million. Now, don't get me wrong, I do believe there's more priority positions at Derby County than that right back position, especially if you look at the left wing. I think also the right hand side as well. I think we just need some extra bodies in those forward areas. But for me, you can't really go past a £1.5 million deal for a 19-20-year-old fullback who can play at centre-half, has shown that he's capable of playing at the top end of the Championship and being a huge part of a promotion push. Now, obviously, when we sort of look at a player like Gilchrist, you have to sort of look at what could be rather than what is here right now. And I think if you look at the quality he's shown over the course of the last year with that of Sheffield United, I think he's definitely a player who could certainly grow into being a fairly decent Premier League centre-half or Premier League right back. Now obviously that comes with its caveats, and he has to be given game time in order to do that, and I believe that at Derby County he would get the opportunity to grow into that sort of player. Now the only problem for me that I see with any potential deal in regards to Alfie Gilchrist is that we have obviously bought in now Dion Sanderson, which sort of shuts down that right back position, but for me it shouldn't do, because for me, Dion Sanderson, I said it during the live stream, it wasn't a move I was anticipating Derby to make. I was hoping it was a little bit of fake news as well. And sort of, he's not necessarily the player that Derby County needed. Now, I have had a few Birmingham City fans talk to me and Blackburn Rovers fans who sort of said that you can only really get a tune out of him with John Eustace. And it will be interesting to see if John Eustace can get a tune out of him again this season. But I just felt as if it was a move that didn't really make sense for Derby County. And I would have much preferred for Derby County to go and spend £1.5 million bringing in Alfie Gilchrist, or go and spend £2 million and bring in Max Johnston and sort of move forward in that direction, bringing in a younger right back so that if Nyambi has his injury issues, he can move on. If Joe Ward wants to move on as well, he can go. And then obviously try and renew the Kane Wilson situation. But obviously, as we sit here today, that hasn't been done. And that's sort of the position we find ourselves in now, where Derby County have made that move for Dion Sanderson. And it's obviously taking up a squad slot, which many of you will know. And it's not that I don't believe that Sanderson can play at this level, because I do believe he has the ability. But obviously with the debut going how it went yesterday, I just think there's a lot that needs to be discussed in that regard. And I do believe that Derby County may have made the right call on the wrong call, on bringing in Dion Sanderson, and hopefully that's something that may be addressed throughout this transfer window or maybe even January. But I do think it is very, very disappointing that the options that we've been looking at right back, Cody Drammer, Max Johnston, Alfie Gilchrist, and the one we end up with to potentially fill that role with injuries and so forth is Dion Sanderson, a player who I don't necessarily think is a right back. I think he's more of a centre half. And even in that centre half position, we are pretty stacked. And I think it just takes an opportunity away from Jake Rooney to actually go and make himself a first team name at Derby County. And for me, that's really, really disappointing because I think Jake Rooney has done excellent throughout pre-season. I know he got his opportunity because of Matt Clark's injury, but I just felt like he earned that opportunity for a first-team appearance in the Championship yesterday. And I just don't necessarily think that John Eustace necessarily thought of that. He picked on a player that he could... he believed that he could trust in Dion Sanderson, and ultimately it didn't go to plan. And do I think that that's going to change his way of thinking? Absolutely not. But do I think that Jake Rooney will get an opportunity in midweek? I certainly do hope so. I do think there's going to be a range of changes. And I think if Derby County aren't going to go out and get Johnston, aren't going to go out and get Gilchrist, then in my opinion, I think they've made sort of the wrong call in bringing in Sanderson. I just don't think it's a move that we needed to make. And I think when you look at the players that are sort of still within the squad that probably won't really get minutes, you look at a Joe Ward. Obviously, Ben Osborne was on the bench yesterday, but I can't really see him being a major piece of the squad this season. And you just sort of want to move a couple of them players on and sort of give Derby County better quality options off the bench. And I'm not saying that Osborne isn't a good option off the bench. If you go back to last year, instead of Ben Osborne coming on in midfield, we had the likes of Freddie Turley on the bench at points. So don't get me wrong, we've certainly taken that step forward in regards to the sort of squad calibre, but I still think that there's a lot of work still to do this season. And I think that even in that right back position, in that midfield position, I think there are two positions where Derby County, as much as they have good numbers, they don't have a lot of good quality, and that's obviously going to have to be addressed across the course of the next few weeks. It might not be, it may be, but I think that obviously there's rumours regarding Lewis Travis, obviously the rumours regarding Gilchrist, and obviously Johnston still keep murmuring on. So we're going to have to sort of wait and see how it all shakes out for Derby County as they sort of head towards the transfer deadline day. And I don't necessarily think that Derby County are in a bad position squad-wise. I just think there's certain positions where, as much as we may have bought in a player or two, I just think the quality is still lacking a little bit. And right back is one of those positions, where, especially when you look at the introduction of Dion Sanderson. Now, obviously, do I think this Gilchrist deal will get done? Honestly, I think the signing of Dion Sanderson shuts down any right back. But obviously that's one which John Eustace will deal with across the course of the season. Obviously anticipating Kane Wilson to be back within the next 3 or 4 weeks. So hopefully he'll be ready and available coming out of the international break. But obviously you can let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments if you have not done so already. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. We will be live on Tuesday evening going through Derby County versus West Brom with a live watch along where you can obviously join me, just like many of you did for the game versus Stoke City. So let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments, and I'll catch you in my next video.